T-Mobile is more than the best network in the game. They're now the best network in America, according to the experts at Ookla Speed Test. So MLB fans are connected from home to home plate. With the most advanced 5G, the most towers, and a signal that goes farther than ever, you can keep up with your teams on the road, overseas, and even off the grid. For baseball fans, it's better over here.
Based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence Data, 1H2025 compatible device and plan required for T-Satellite. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Okay, let me give you a quick tutorial. Let's get up to speed to how to do it. Okay, example number 1. Hey, let's go, let's go. Oh, yeah, baby, let's go win this thing. That's pretty acceptable. Example number 2. You're a piece of shit. Your wife is a piece of shit. Your family, they're pieces of shit. Your neighbors are pieces of shit. Your barber's a piece of shit. Your gardener's a piece of shit. Your dog shits bricks, and your mama wears army boots. Norman Chad. Norman Chad. Welcome to Gambling Mad with Norman Chad. I am Norman Chad. Coming up on the program today, Drake loses millions betting on sports. A woman wins $1 million on Wheel of Fortune, and America is now the land of a million jerks. Gambling Mad, as always, brought to you by Fritos, picked fresh off of Central California trees every morning, delivered directly to your local retailer every afternoon. And by the refreshing taste of Fresca. Fritos and Fresca, it's a meal. The Ryder Cup is a litmus test for who we are in America in 2025. And who are we? We are ugly Americans. We are hateful, toxic Americans. We are the worst of the worst in humankind, and I'm not even sure who would be a close second to us at this point. The Ryder Cup is the every other year golf competition between Europe and the United States. It rotates being played between Europe and the United States. For the past decade, every time the U.S. hosts the competition, the gallery, the crowd, has been raucous and rowdy. Raucous and rowdy would be okay, but it's morphed into profane and crude and foul and vulgar. The heckling turned into harassment. The insults became personal and nasty. Rory McIlroy was the target of much of the abuse this year in New York, and it was full of homophobic slurs, talk about his marriage. There was even drinks thrown at he and his wife. What is wrong with us? How hard is it? How hard is it to go to a sporting event and root for your team without directing derogatory, disrespectful remarks to the opposition? It isn't that hard. It is not that hard. Okay, let me give you a quick tutorial. Let's get up to speed to how to do it. Okay, example number 1. Hey, let's go, let's go. Oh, yeah, baby, let's go win this thing. That's pretty acceptable. Example number 2. You're a piece of shit. Your wife is a piece of shit. Your family, they're pieces of shit. Your neighbors are pieces of shit. Your barber's a piece of shit. Your gardener's a piece of shit. Your dog shits bricks, and your mama wears army boots. That's pretty unacceptable. Anyway, this behavior is all part of a movement downward in America, where public dialogue is more coarse, where everyone is angrier every day, where the simplest disagreements or disputes erupt into hot and heated firestorms. We have become the United States of asshats. I don't have a simple solution here. I'll tell you what does help a little bit. Fresca and Fritos twice a day. I have friends, well, not friends, more like acquaintances and colleagues. And they love telling me that nothing in sports is better than playoff hockey. I always laugh at this notion due to the fact that I never watched the National Hockey League. Yeah, I've related this before, and let me relate it again. When I was in college, I worked in the press box for 25 or 30 NHL games a year. They were Washington Capitals home games. And all I remember from those trips into that arena for the NHL was this: it's too damn cold in here. Okay, I have not been to a hockey game since, and I won't watch them on TV. I like to be warm. Anyway, as we are right now in the midst of postseason baseball, here's a premise I got for you. Even though I prefer the NFL to the NBA and to MLB, I believe MLB and the NBA have better postseasons than the NFL. Much of regular season baseball bores me, but the postseason has this wonderful sense of urgency to it. It's even possible that baseball has more iconic postseason memories than all the other American professional sports combined. Bill Mazeroski's game-winning homer, Joe Carter's game-winning homer, Kirk Gibson's game-winning homer, Freddie Freeman's game-winning homer, Don Larson's perfect game, Bill Buckner's error, the Red Sox ALCS comeback against the Yankees, and I could go on and on and on. And now, granted, part of the reason we have more MLB and NBA memorable moments and comebacks simply might be volume. There can be up to 100 games in an MLB postseason. There can be up to 50-plus games in an NBA postseason. The NFL, just 13 playoff games total, and that includes the Super Bowl. Okay, sure, that makes each game more special, but baseball and basketball have so many more opportunities every year to create a lasting memory. So, let's just do a mini Mount Rushmore, not our full-blown Mount Rushmore, but a mini Mount Rushmore of postseason professional sports. First one I put up there is MLB, then the NBA, then the NFL, and well, since so many people, and I trust them, so many people tell me that playoff hockey is the best, we will include the NHL on this Mount Rushmore. Is there anyone else, any other league I should be considering? Major League Soccer? MLS? Oh, that's really funny. All right. Time for NFL picks. Frankly, I should be putting a bag over my head because my picks have been so bad. Let's take a look at the record. We had our third straight 2-3 week against the point spread, and we are now 6-9 for the season. I'm not panicking, but I'm not pleased. You know, some of my picks have been so horrendous. You know, they're games in which you know you're on the wrong side by the start of the second quarter. But good people, trust me, it always swings back. Though, to be honest, that's what I thought about my second marriage, and that one never swung back. Anyway, I'm also a bit worried because it's hard to end a losing streak against the point spread by taking a bunch of favorites, and I am on 4 favorites in the 5 games this weekend. How stupid do I look? Don't answer that. Let's get to the actual picks themselves. Dolphins at Panthers. I thought Bryce Young would be better this season. I was wrong. I thought the Panthers would be better this season. I was wrong. I thought the Panthers players would look long and hard in their mirrors and figure out a way to get better. I was wrong. Turns out not a single Carolina Panther starter owns a mirror. Here's where I will not be wrong. Whichever team loses this game will have a new head coach by next season. Mike McDaniel, I think you might be safe, but I have been wrong before. I'm taking the Dolphins as a small 1.5-point road favorite. Titans at Cardinals. The Titans are 0-4. The Titans are losing games by an average of 17 points. The Titans are 1-9 against the spread in their last 10 games. The Titans rookie quarterback Cam Ward has been sacked a league-high 17 times. Do I need to go on? Here is an actual direct Cam Ward quote after their fourth straight loss. We're ass. Let me repeat that. We're ass. That doesn't sound good. On the other hand, I don't like the idea of the Cardinals giving more than a touchdown. Who in their right mind takes the Cardinals as a big favorite? Well, this much we do know. I am certainly not in my right mind. Please forgive me. I'm going to go with the Cardinals here at home, minus 7.5.
T-Mobile is more than the best network in the game. They're now the best network in America, according to the experts at Ookla Speed Test. So MLB fans are connected from home to home plate. With the most advanced 5G, the most towers, and a signal that goes farther than ever, you can keep up with your teams on the road, overseas, and even off the grid. For baseball fans, it's better over here.
Based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence Data, 1H2025 compatible device and plan required for T-Satellite. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Points. Time for the calendar game of the week. You know, the calendar game of the week has been a little weak this year. We might have to change calendars if we don't hit this one. Lions at Bengals. The Lions are 50-21-1 against the spread since the start of the 2021 season. That's insane. 50-21-1. Meanwhile, the Bengals have been awful. I expect the Lions defense to force Jake Browning into at least 2 interceptions, assuming he stays in the game long enough and or doesn't defect at halftime. And if he defects, where's he going to go? Steubenville? By the way, Jake, I've got to recommend the Texas Roadhouse on Mall Drive in Steubenville. Good vibes, great biscuits. All right. There's really no intricate analysis needed on this one. This game looks like 34-13. This game smells like 34-13. It feels like 34-13. Heck, I think the exact final score is going to be Lions 34, Bengals 13. So I will take the Lions and give the 10 points. Patriots at Bills. The Bills never lose at home. 13 in a row now. But their defense is really not playing that well. And Patriots quarterback Drake May, in his second season, is completing 74% of his passes with 7 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. So a lot of people are smelling upset here. All I am smelling are the Buffalo hot wings in the Bills locker room after another victory. Here is the stat I am counting on. A little esoteric, but I'm here to find esoteric. The Bills are 16-3 the last 2 seasons when they allow less than 3 sacks in a game. The Patriots, over that same time period, are averaging just 1.8 sacks. When you don't sack Josh Allen, he sacks you. It's a big number in a division rivalry, but I will go with the Bills -8. Chiefs at Jaguars. Monday Night Football. It's a good one. Let's talk about Travis Etienne Jr., Jaguars running back. He is rushing for nearly 100 yards per game, averaging 6.1 yards per carry. You don't have to be a Duke grad to know those are strong numbers. Travis happens to be a Clemson man, and frankly, nobody playing Clemson football gets a really good education. But that's not the issue here. Let's not get off point. The issue is that Etienne will be able to run well against the Chiefs' defense, which means keeping Patrick Mahomes off the field a lot, which means the Chiefs won't score as many touchdowns as they would like, which means it will be a close game, which means Mahomes will have to rally KC for a late victory, which means the Jaguars should cover as a 3.5-point underdog. Then again, they might not, which means I'll be wrong again, but I'm taking the Jaguars as a 3.5-point underdog. Tom Brady is the golden boy. After an NFL career in which he won 7 Super Bowl titles, he's now the #1 game commentator on Fox at a reported salary of $375 million over 10 years, and he's a part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. So people have wondered, and it's a reasonable thing to wonder, wouldn't Brady, upon meeting with various teams during the season to prepare for his TV work, wouldn't he relate certain information to his team in which he is a part owner? This is what is called a conflict of interest. It's a clear conflict of interest. It's a legitimate concern for every franchise in the NFL. Why wouldn't Tom Brady try to help the organization in which he is a part owner by telling them stuff that would give them a better chance to win? It's pretty logical. Well, Brady decided to address all of this in his newsletter this week. This is what he had to say, and I want you to listen to all these words carefully. Here is Tom Brady. I love football. At its core, it's a game of principles. And with all the success it has given me, I feel I have a moral and ethical duty to the sport, which is why the point where my roles in it intersect is not actually a point of conflict, despite what the paranoid and distrustful might believe. When you live through uncertain and untrusting times like we are today, it is very easy to watch a person's passions and profession intersect and to believe you're looking at some sort of dilemma. Because when you're blinded by distrust, it's hard to see anything other than self-interest. Brady concludes, people who are like that, particularly to a chronic pathological degree, are telling on themselves. They're showing you their worldview and how they operate. They're admitting that they can only conceive of interests that are selfish, that they cannot imagine a person doing their job for reasons that are greater than themselves. That was the Tom Brady message. To which I say, fiddlesticks! Okay? Brady's statement has got to be the most disingenuous word salad of intellectually bankrupt mishmash I have heard this week. Apparently, Tommy is above and beyond the rest of us in terms of his moral compass. And apparently, he is a better person than his critics. That is his argument. Fiddlesticks and balderdash. And I seldom use both those words on the same day. As a failed former stand-up comic, I have a lot of respect for stand-up comedians. They say that poker is a tough way to make an easy living. The same could be said of stand-up comedy. What I love about certain stand-up comics, the best of them, is that they hold truth to power. Stand-up comics answer to no one but themselves and their audience. They usually can say whatever they please without fear or favor. And since it is a tough way to make an easy living, I don't begrudge any of them any paycheck they want to cash. Which brings us to the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia. Yes, who knew that the biggest comedy festival in the world is where they hang people every 36 hours? You may recall that many professional golfers went to the Saudi Arabian-backed Live Tour for great sums of money. This was controversial because of Saudi Arabia's long-standing poor human rights record. But these golfers are free to do as they want, and we are free not to like it. Similarly, many top comics are taking money for the 2-week comedy festival running in Saudi Arabia right now. And once again, they are free to do it, and we're free not to like it. I don't like it. Among the talent prostituting themselves are some of the biggest names in stand-up. Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Kevin Hart, Pete Davidson, Louis C.K., Sebastian Maniscalco, Jeffrey Ross, Chris Tucker. It's hard to say no if you're offered the biggest payday you might ever see for one show. Many of the comics are getting in 6 figures. The biggest names are getting reportedly in excess of $1 million for a single night. Comedian Mark Maron was critical of his colleagues. He said, quote, "How do you even promote that? Like from the folks that brought you 9/11, 2 weeks of laughter in the desert," end quote. Another comedian, David Cross, said, quote, "I'm disgusted and deeply disappointed in this whole gross thing that people I admire with inarguable talent would condone this totalitarian fiefdom for what? A 4th house? A boat? New sneakers?" End quote. Maron and Cross speak eloquently for how I feel. And part of the problem is this. Comics are big on freedom of speech and understandably have complained a lot about the cancel culture. Yet part of their contracts to perform at the comedy festival forbids them from degrading or ridiculing the host country or the royal family. With the Live Golf Tour, they called that sport washing, Saudi Arabia's track record of abuse and crimes against humanity. With this festival, they're appropriately calling it comedy washing. By the way,
T-Mobile is more than the best network in the game. They're now the best network in America, according to the experts at Ookla Speed Test. So MLB fans are connected from home to home plate. With the most advanced 5G, the most towers, and a signal that goes farther than ever, you can keep up with your teams on the road, overseas, and even off the grid. For baseball fans, it's better over here.
Based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence Data 1H2025 compatible device and plan required for T-Satellite. See details at T-Mobile.com.
A word, if I might, with Louis C.K., whom I used to greatly admire. Then we found out, Louis, that you forced female comics and female staffers to watch you masturbate. You kind of apologized, took a couple of months off to gaze at your navel and consider your misdeeds, then returned to the stage without even addressing your conduct. Really? I probably would have gone back to college, gotten a degree in theology, maybe pivoted to a career as an actuary, living a chaste life for the rest of my years. So, Jimmy Kimmel and Donald Trump have been going at each other. Kimmel made remarks about Charlie Kirk. Team Trump and the FCC threatened ABC. ABC suspended Kimmel's late night show, then ABC brought him back. When Kimmel returned, as part of his monologue, he said, "The President of the United States made it very clear he wants to see me and the hundreds of people who work here fired from our jobs. Our leader celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke." Okay, a couple of things about this. First of all, sure, I wish Donald Trump were selling used mattresses out of the back of a pickup truck, but as is this notion from Kimmel that the president can't take a joke, I'm sure he can't take a joke. But in this case, we're talking about literally hundreds, if not thousands of jokes that he's the butt of from Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and Seth Meyers and just about every single night of every single week that he's been in office. So let's be fair here. Trump is a dangerous, authoritarian blowhard, but he does sit there every single week as the punchline of countless comedians' gags. So yeah, you got to figure, he's almost human. It's got to bother him a bit. Which takes us to the second point I want to make. Jimmy Kimmel says the president can't take a joke. How about you, Jimmy? I have personal history on this front. I used to write a sports column for the Washington Post and several other newspapers. And one week, I took a passing sideswipe at Jimmy Kimmel. This is 15 or 20 years ago after he started in a late night. I had written about John McEnroe, the tennis great, who, believe it or not, and you think I'm making this up unless you were there, CNBC gave him a nightly talk show. CNBC was trying to figure out what do we do after the stock market's closed. They're doing different programming night. They gave McEnroe a 5-night-a-week talk show, with a sidekick and a band, and it was bad. Okay. And then somebody wrote me, I always took questions at the end of my column. They said, "What do you got against John McEnroe? You're always picking on John McEnroe." I said, "John McEnroe? Who are we kidding?" As a talk show host, McEnroe makes Jimmy Kimmel look like Jack Parr. That was the line. In fact, I should have said makes him look like Johnny Carson. Nobody knows who Jack Parr is, even back then. He was a predecessor to Johnny Carson, who was terrific. But that's the incredible takedown of Jimmy Kimmel I did one time. Well, at that time, I was playing in an all stand-up comedians poker game, a wonderful game. And one of the players was the lovely and talented Sarah Silverman. I knew her pretty well. At this time, she was Jimmy Kimmel's boyfriend. Girlfriend, I hope so. She emailed me and said, "What are you doing? How you taking a shot at Jimmy? He's my guy. Please." I emailed her back. "I'm sorry. What the heck? He was he was part of the target practice this week. And isn't this what Jimmy does anyway, nightly for a living? Doesn't he take down 1 million people?" She emailed me back, okay, but just don't do it again. Okay. I felt bad. About a year later, I did it again. I took another passing shot at Jimmy Kimmel. It wasn't anything I can even remember. It was one line in a column. I regret it greatly because Sarah now contacted me again. And she said, I asked you as a favor not to do this. I thought we had a friendship. You're out of line. And she was really mad. And to this day, I have never spoken to Sarah again. But what happened here is I guess she was just going back and forth with Jimmy. And then when they decided that she should talk to me once again, she, instead of sending me a separate email, she forwarded me an email. And at the bottom of her email was the line of the string of emails between her and Jimmy. And this started with Jimmy saying, "Oh, I see your little, ferret friend took another shot at me." And Sarah says, "Oh, I'm surprised. I'll talk to him." And Jimmy says, "Oh, yeah, you better talk to him." And then he rolls off another string of not so nice semi-profanities against me that, this guy's got to go down. And then she sent me the email that I saw. Okay, so Jimmy, let's recap. The president is upset because millions and millions of viewers hear endless jokes about him 5 nights a week on national TV. You got upset because a sports columnist no one ever heard of told one joke in one newspaper column that hardly anybody saw. Oh, I'm sorry. Then it happened a second time a year later, and you went scorched earth. Who can't take a joke, Jimmy Kimmel?
T-Mobile is more than the best network in the game. They're now the best network in America, according to the experts at Ookla Speed Test. So MLB fans are connected from home to home plate. With the most advanced 5G, the most towers, and a signal that goes farther than ever, you can keep up with your teams on the road, overseas, and even off the grid. For baseball fans, it's better over here.
Based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence Data, 1H2025 compatible device and plan required for T-Satellite. See details at T-Mobile.com.
By the way, it's just a postscript to that. I was done with Sarah. Jimmy's been reigning on the air for many, many years. In the last 10 years or so, I probably made fun of him, more than once a year, like 12 or 15 times total. But just a one-liner. But, maybe you didn't see it. We have reported more than once on Drake's gambling losses. The Canadian rap superstar is a proven loser. If he were to bet that the sun was going to rise tomorrow, I can guarantee you it would not. Drake is an ambassador for the crypto betting platform stake.com, so he actually chronicles a lot of his own betting activity for people to see. In the last month alone, it was just routine business for him. Another day at the office. Drake lost $250,000 betting on the Baltimore Ravens to beat the Buffalo Bills. He lost $300,000 betting on Jannik Sinner to beat Carlos Alcaraz. It's estimated Drake has lost $35 million on sports bets this year. $35 million in the red on sports bet this year. I hate to use his misery, by the way, to promote our mastery, but here at Gambling Mad, we have lost less than $1,000 on mythical sports bets this year. As we like to say, stick with us at Gambling Mad, where you always lose less. In May and June of this year, Drake lost $8 million, mostly on NBA playoff and NHL playoff wagers. He also lost $750,000 on a cricket match. My goodness. I stopped betting cricket when I was 13 years old. Come on, Drake. Nobody can beat the point spread in cricket. On a more positive note, and we do like to end sometimes a particular item on a positive note, Drake has his 9th studio album due out very soon. Got to figure that's good for another 5 or 10 million to add to his gambling bankroll. Wheel of Fortune had a $1 million winner this week. Christina Derevjanik, a marketing manager from Stamford, Connecticut, was the lucky contestant. She is only the 4th person to win $1 million in Wheel of Fortune history. She's the first since Ryan Seacrest replaced Pat Sajak as host. Quick sidebar. Do you think Ryan Seacrest had to audition for that job? Or did Pat Sajak just announce his retirement and the bosses said, no problem, Pat, we'll just get Ryan Seacrest? The winning puzzle for Christina was in the category Living Things, and she solved Pack of Coyotes. geez, okay, I mean, once you nail the C and the K and the Y, it's a gimme. Oh my God. The show was actually taped 4 months ago, but they always have that standard thing you got to sign. Christina was sworn to secrecy on revealing the result until it aired. But her family grew a little bit suspicious. They realized something was up once she started buying orange juice from Whole Foods and Googling $1 million homes on Zillow. Anyway, a couple of personal notes about Wheel of Fortune, if I may. I have never watched an entire episode of Wheel of Fortune, which has been on air since 1975, 50 years running. I have seen portions of Wheel of Fortune episodes because my parents would watch it very often. But most of the time when I'd walk into their home to visit and saw them watching it, I would wave my hand dismissively at them, uttering the words, "You've got to be kidding me," and walk out of the den. They say blood is thicker than water, but bad TV viewing habits are thicker than blood. Here's my other wheel note. I used to love playing blackjack at the Mirage in Las Vegas. It was my favorite casino in town. But then they installed Wheel of Fortune branded slot machines behind the blackjack pit where I was playing, and hearing Wheel of Fortune running out of those machines every friggin' 30 or 45 seconds made me leave the Mirage and ultimately give up blackjack. And the Mirage started doing not so well, and Pepsi has imploded. It's now going to become the Hard Rock. Those Wheel of Fortune slot machines could have been the cause. Before we wrap up, I'm going to say this one time and one time only. We have 77 larger problems in America, but we should still legalize online poker. And don't tell me this is a morality issue or we're trying to protect the children, please. Is online poker gambling? Of course it is. Well, guess what? The stock market, Wall Street, is gambling and legal. Fantasy sports is gambling and legal. Sports betting is gambling and now legal in 39 states and the District of Columbia. And the lottery. Let's not forget about the lottery. A numbers game is gambling and legal, well, only when it's run by your state government. Like everything else I just mentioned, online poker is a game of chance and skill. Well, check that. There's no skill involved in the lottery. But they are all forms of gambling. The amount of money states are foregoing by banning poker is astounding. Legalize it, regulate it, tax it, okay? Like every other business. Of course, if you're the really smart consumer, you would largely avoid online poker, but hey, it should be there for you to play or not play. That'll do it for That will do it for another edition of Gambling Mad with Norman Chad. Hope to see you again next time. And remember, if you're going to roll the dice, make sure they're loaded. There was a time in which Dennis Miller and Bill Maher were at the head of their class in terms of comedians who talked politics. They were smart and funny. Well, Dennis Miller moved to Santa Barbara, lost his way, and is now a memory. Bill Maher is still front and center every week on HBO. But he's gone from the sharpest guy in the room to the sharpest guy in his mind. Whatever he is smoking and drinking and eating, he must stop. First, he had dinner earlier this year with Donald Trump and tried to normalize him, telling us what a great guy the great dictator appeared to be while eating beef Wellington. And now he is suggesting that Stephen A. Smith, a bloviating buffoon of a sports writer turned social commentator, should be the next Democratic Party nominee for president. Bill, we still need actual leaders, not carnival barkers. This nation is now 1 part reality show, 2 parts clown show. Let me quote from the 1995 film, The American President, when President Andrew Shepard tells challenger Bob Rumson, "We've got serious problems and we need serious people. This is a time for serious people, Bob, and your 15 minutes is up." Stephen A. Smith has had about 15 years. He is not a serious person. So trust me, as the late Millard Fillmore is my witness, if Stephen A. Smith runs for president, I will go gambling mad.
Gambling Mad with Norman Chad is written by Norman Chad and ghost written by Norman Chad. Executive producers are John Scheinberg and Rick Barrio-Dill. Produced by Norman Chad and Rick Barrio-Dill. Our associate producers are Bree Coury and Asher Friedberg, and edited by Asher Friedberg with studio facilities at 360 Pod Studios, Beverly Hills.
T-Mobile is more than the best network in the game. They're now the best network in America, according to the experts at Ookla Speed Test. So MLB fans are connected from home to home plate. With the most advanced 5G, the most towers, and a signal that goes farther than ever, you can keep up with your teams on the road, overseas, and even off the grid. For baseball fans, it's better over here.
Based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence Data 1H2025 compatible device and plan required for T-Satellite. See details at T-Mobile.com.